Hello, Year 6, it's me again. I wanted to share with you a story that you're going to use for one of your tasks. And it's a story I've shared with my own children, and they debate whether it's true or not. But it's absolutely true. And anyone who's been in my class knows that I always tell true stories. Yeah, very, very true. So, when I was young, I was quite small for my age, and I had very little legs. And I had 7 older brothers. And I was always looking up to them. And because my legs were a lot shorter than theirs, I was always trying to catch up with them as well. So we'd be off somewhere, all 8 of us, and they'd go off striding into the distance, and my legs would be spinning round as fast as I could get them to move, practically sprinting to catch up with just their walking. And I'd always fall further back. And then they'd shout at me, and they'd shout, "Behind, behind, you're always behind." Well, one Saturday, many years ago, when I was about 9 years old, me and my older brothers were planning on going to the zoo one day. And it was a cold morning. We got ready, we got everything to go, and off we headed. And as usual, my brothers sped off at a tremendous pace. And I was running alongside them, trying to keep up. And we headed off towards the train station. And soon they were calling me back, and they shouted, calling back to me, and they were shouting, "Behind, behind, you're always behind." And I just couldn't keep up. And after a while, I couldn't see them anymore. So now I sprinted, and when I arrived at the train station, I just got there to see the train pulling away. And there was no sign of my brothers. They'd forgotten me. I couldn't believe it. "Behind, behind, I'm always behind," I said to myself. And I was so upset. So I trudged back to my house with my head hung low, and I was so disappointed. I had wanted a day full of adventure, and instead I was going home on my own. I was nearly home, and I saw my school up ahead. I walked past the school, and I noticed something a little bit strange. So normally, when I walked past, the front gate was always closed. But on this day, it was a Saturday, it was a weekend. I thought, why is that gate open? It was just open a little bit. And I thought, should I go and investigate? Now, I probably should have just walked away and thought nothing of it, but I walked in. Now, as soon as I walked into the school gate, I noticed it was quiet. Not just quiet, but sort of eerily quiet. It was a strange quiet. And I had said it was a cold day. Well, this cold turned into a sort of freezing cold day, and this mist came in all around me. And I was walking through the school playground, just looking from side to side, and you could almost hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. I called out, and my voice started to echo a little bit in the mist, and it got so foggy I could hardly see in front of me. I was looking down very carefully, and there in front of me was a hole in the playground, just on the playground in the floor. And it was quite a small hole. The closer I got to it, it started to get bigger and bigger. I looked over the side and I started to edge away, but the hole got bigger. And then I slipped and fell in. And I fell down into blackness through this hole for a long time. And then suddenly I saw beneath me light coming, and I thought, I'm going to hit the ground here. I screamed and screamed and screamed. I was shouting, but when I did hit, it was very soft. There was no bones broken. It was all fine. And I looked around me, and I could see that there was sort of sand, and I was in a cave. And I headed out through the cave, and it let me out onto a beautiful, long, wide beach. And I thought, this is crazy. How can this be? How can I be in this place? And I went out onto the beach. There wasn't a single other soul on the beach, but there was some strange creatures on the beach. So there was sand, beautiful golden sand. It was quite sort of cold, crisp wind coming in. There were some lovely waves rolling in from the sea. But on the floor were these creatures that I can only describe as part dog, part lizard. They had these long tails, 4 legs with claws, and a dog's face. And they had wings like an eagle. And I was really scared of these creatures. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So I sort of gradually, gently walked towards them very carefully. I didn't want to startle any of them, but they seemed very, very peaceful. And I walked amongst them, and they weren't scared of me. They didn't even, maybe they'd never seen a human before. They didn't even bat an eyelid at me. And I walked along the beach thinking, how am I going to get out of here? But as I walked along the beach, I saw something in the distance. And I walked towards it, and I saw it looked like a giant sort of structure on the beach. But I realised it was a nest, and I climbed up this nest. That's how big it was. And inside was some more of these creatures. And down at the bottom of the nest was some eggs. They were about this big, sort of size of rugby balls. But they were golden eggs. And now I reached my hand towards one of these eggs. I thought I could do with one of these. And that's where I'm going to stop the story. And I want you, Year 6, to finish off the rest of the story. And I'll put the rest of the details on our learning post. So I hope you enjoyed my very true story. And I look forward to hearing about how you're going to finish off these stories. And then I'll tell you the rest on another day, as my dad used to say to me. All right, take care, everyone. I miss you. All the best. Bye-bye.